All right, it is on YouTube recording. Perfect. Okay. Share my screen.
Okay. Okay. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
flag of the United
United States of America
and to
and
the
to the
republic
republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Very good. Okay, so this is the March 3rd, 2022 meeting of the Harbor Committee, Sag Harbor Village. We have present, we have Lily Fell, we have Herb Sambal, we have John Parker, myself, Marianne Eddy, and Will Sharp just joined us.
Correct.
Will, are you there? There.
Greetings.
Greetings.
Hi.
You missed the flag salute, but we're glad to see you. Thank you.
I worked it that way.
All right, so the first thing we'd like to do is go over the minutes, which I thought it was very helpful, Doris, that you attached them to the hard copy of the agenda. John, did you have a chance to review these? Have they met with your approval?
Yeah, yes, they look all right to me. I didn't go over every detail in the things that were with the parts of what was approved that would be in the permits, but I assume that that's correct. I didn't compare all of that.
Okay, all right. Does anybody else have any questions or comments about the meeting minutes from the February 3rd meeting? Okay. May I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Lily, second.
What was
A
approved?
second.
Thank you, Herb. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have no decisions to review tonight. So what we're going to do, and I don't know if you all saw this email come through about an hour or so ago, is we're going to change the order a bit because the person who has an issue here that just needs a minor modification to the existing permit, the correspondence requiring action, 37 Glover Street. Their representative has a conflict at the Southampton Town Planning Board. So it seemed easy enough to let that issue be reviewed and voted on here now. Is there anybody here to speak about this, 37 Glover?
I am here, Brian Locascio with the Adam Miller Group, 2462 Main Street, Bridgehampton, on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you, Brian.
As discussed, we're here for a minor modification, which is actually going to result in a retreating of the pool 5 feet from its current location away from the wetlands, as well as a retreat from the existing shower from the wetlands line further towards Glover Street. This is a direct result of the DEC permit and approval we received. So I can go ahead and show you a side-by-side of the pictures of your approval so you can see. Oh, Doris, are you able to allow screen sharing?
I am doing that right now.
Thank you so
Brian.
much.
You're welcome. All right, you're ready.
Okay, you can see my screen, correct?
Yes.
All right, so this is the survey you have approved.
I don't see.
Oh,
this.
no.
All I see
I
is
can't
Brian
see anything.
has started screen sharing.
I spoke too early. Sorry.
It's okay.
There we
There
go.
we
There you
go.
go.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, apologies for that. All right, so as you can see, this, as I said, is the survey that you have approved on your prior wetlands permit. We have a current location of the outdoor shower in the southern portion of the property, the pool just north of it. The DEC had concerns about the excavation required to build these structures in proximity to this line and wanted us to retreat an additional 5 feet back. So as a result, we now have a pool reoriented, shifted further from the wetlands, and the outdoor shower retreated further from the wetlands line.
Where, I don't see the outdoor shower. Can you?
Can you see what I highlighted?
Yep,
So
okay.
it's right in the
perfect.
center.
Okay,
It's just further from where it was, and then the pool, it's now just running parallel to the house, and again, shifted further from the
Right.
water.
Who was it that you worked with at the DEC? Do you have a name?
Oh,
That's
I
all right. if you
don't know
give-
offhand. I can get that to you though.
It's
I
just
don't-
curiosity on
Yep.
my part because I
Yep.
haven't come across them being more rigorous than the Harbor Committee, and
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yep,
Yeah,
and of course- and that's, yeah, exactly why we followed, procedure to come here first and then follow down the
Right.
line. But DEC required that, and, the logic behind it makes sense, so,
it makes a lot of sense.
so
What is the address of this property again, please?
37 Glover Street.
Right. I drove by there today, and I have to say I cried when I saw all those tree stumps.
Huh.
Must have been close to a dozen trees coming down. So certainly not against the law or the code, but it hurt all the same.
Understand.
Okay, does anybody on the committee have any questions about this? It seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're asking for is for us to approve a modification of the permit that was granted on May 6, 2021. May I have a motion to that effect?
Mary Ann, I'll just,
Oh.
I could. We had,
Yeah.
we had exchanged emails. I had coordinated with Doris, you and Fred. And this seemed like it was straightforward, and you authorized me to prepare a resolution.
Okay,
So I know Doris has the file. It's dated today. It goes through the background exactly as Brian outlined it. Indicates that it's 5 feet farther away, that we have the Saskis survey, and it reflects the updated survey for the purpose of modifying the existing permit. So that's actually a resolution that's been prepared. If you want to just use that, you can make a motion on that.
of course.
And for the record, Mary Ann, as I recall, this proposal, when it first came into us, met all the minimum setback
It
requirements.
did.
75 feet for the pool and for the house. There were no
There was nothing
relief
controversial.
required there, yeah.
Right.
Correct.
So that's why it's unusual that the DEC, because of the trauma to the coastline, I imagine, they asked the pool to go back. And I think you're going to love having the pool in that direction. But anyway. So may I have a motion then? Do people on the Harbor Committee, would you like to have Chick read that resolution in full?
No,
Before we
not
approve it?
necessary.
Okay.
I'm ready
Anybody
to
else?
approve it now. No,
Do you want to make a motion to that effect?
I most certainly will. I so move.
Second, please. Anybody want to second the,
I second if I can.
who's speaking?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Hillary, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, thank you so
Great.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Doris,
Thank you
you
for
do have
accommodating my
that.
schedule. I greatly appreciate that.
Yes,
Great, very
Chick.
good, Brian. You do have it? So you
Yes,
have it signed and sent. Thank you. Great.
thank you. Yes, it was
Brian.
circulated as well.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank
Good
you.
night, Brian.
The next item on the agenda is 36 John Street, but I understand from Doris that the applicant is asked to have this application adjourned until the next meeting.
Correct.
This has been now the fourth time we've adjourned this. What did you find out? What did they tell you, Doris?
They're still waiting for the surveyor, to draft to prepare the survey for the property.
Okay,
And Mary Ann, I did speak with the applicant's representative today. I had reported to the board at the last meeting, they were making all efforts to get the survey for this.
right.
She apologizes. They're still working on it. I think we understand that sometimes things take time, but I did speak to her as well.
Okay. Anybody have any concerns about continuing to adjourn this application?
No.
Take that as a no. May I have a motion to adjourn 36 John Street until April 7th?
I move.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Herb is first. Will you second that, Lily?
I will.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Okay, for the record, the next meeting is April 7th.
right.
I'm going to
Okay,
put that in right now.
Okay. And Marianne, do you want to, we have a number 2 under correspondence requiring action, or you want to come back? Number
I
8,
didn't
John
realize we had
Street.
it. Oh, we do have a second one.
Yes.
Oh, yes, of course. So this one is a request to extend the permit
Correct.
that was issued on May 2nd, 2020. And how long do we usually, did they ask for like a specific time period or just ask to have it extended?
The applicant requests a year.
Okay. Fred, that's normal, right?
Yeah, that's within the discretion of the board. We can do a
Right.
year.
Okay.
How many extensions? This is the first extension?
Yes,
Yes.
Because I know with the building department, they give you, there's some autumn, 1-year extension, and then after that, it gets reduced in duration, as I recall, or,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Correct.
So it's not just all open.
Right. May I have a motion to, do you have a resolution here or do we, all we're doing is voting on
yeah, this is a straight
Approving, yeah.
extender, so
approving
you
an
can just
extension?
do a motion here.
Okay. May I have a motion to extend the permit for Claxon House, 8 John Street, for the period of 1 year? Is that's going to be May, to make it to May 7th, 2023?
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay. Motion, please.
I'll move.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Second. Thank you, John. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay. All right. So
I
now-
can't be the only one here tonight making these, primary motions. So I'd appreciate a little help here, please.
I don't know why it's so hard to coax a motion. All right, 188 Redwood. Is there somebody here from the applicant to explain to us what we are looking at tonight?
Yes, hi, Haley Willis with the Adam Miller Group, 2462 Main Street, Bridgehampton.
Thank you, Haley.
Doris, can I go ahead and share my screen?
Yes, let me make you co-host and you are ready.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Can everyone, oh, now can you see our proposal on the screen?
Yes.
Great. So tonight we are here we're back to present our modified plan for combating the erosion at 188 Redwood. Our submission materials for this evening's meeting also contained an in-depth analysis of alternative proposals in response to comments from our prior hearings and in satisfaction of the requirements of Code Section 285, obligating applicants to explore other means and methods. But tonight we're here to discuss our revised proposal, which consists of the following actions. We're proposing to construct a 24-foot revetment using 200 to 300 pound stone interlocked with 50 to 150 pound chinking stone. Proposing to construct a new 24-foot vinyl upland retaining wall landward of the revetment. Plant Baccharis 3 feet off center between new upland retaining wall and the revetment. We're proposing to provide an additional 20-foot upland non-turf buffer, which brings the property to a code compliant 50-foot average buffer zone. And we would place a single row of 50-pound stones in front of the existing return for 16 feet. We believe that
Ellie, if I could just interrupt, we just have the location map, but with your explanation, it would be helpful to go to some of the lines.
Oh yeah, I'm just reading some introductory marks, but I can scroll through this as needed. This is the whole thing. Is this a better view to look at here?
Yeah.
The one you just had up a moment ago was really great.
Yeah, go up to the cross section.
Yeah,
This one.
right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
that one's helpful to me too. So we believe that the report that we submitted with our package for tonight addresses all of the details of our proposal and in relation to the relevant code provisions. And we hope that answered most of your questions, but we look forward to hearing your comments and addressing any questions you may have. And Chuck Hamilton is here again tonight to do that.
So the vinyl sheathing, is that in the same position as where the bulkhead had been previously proposed?
It's offset. Haley, just go up one drawing and that will answer Mary Ann's question.
Okay. Great, perfect. So what is that? That's set back like 3 or 4 feet from the line of the existing bulkhead return?
I believe it's 3 feet. Chuck, do you have that precise measurement? I don't think it's shown here. Oh, Josh, you're on mute. I can see you're trying to talk.
I believe it's 3.8 feet to the front of it, and it'll be, you know, with the cap, it's like 18 inches, so it's 5 feet, 5 feet to the back.
Okay.
I think that's this measurement, like you see here is 5
Right.
and 4.
Exactly. It says 3.8 there, I believe.
Right. And can you go back to the cross section again? Okay. So, oh, interesting. So, this skirts around behind that existing tree, is that correct?
You're talking about the wall?
The vinyl sheathing? that's
Oh, no,
going-
that thing, I believe, I think that's that shrub there is the baccharis that's supposed to be shown there.
Yeah, it is.
That's what, further to the street?
This, what you're saying is a tree, it's plantings.
Okay.
It's not the existing tree on Josh's property.
Okay. All right.
Just bushes that are going to be planted in there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jane, can you just state your name for the record, please?
Sure. Jane Costello from Costello Marine Contracting.
Thank you.
Chick, or does anybody on the committee have questions for the applicant?
Maybe before committee questions, I'll just add a couple of quick things. And then certainly I or the applicant can answer questions. Forgive me, I was at the dentist this afternoon and I'm still a little numb. So if I talk funny, please forgive me. So this is in direct response to the committee's input at one of the prior meetings. And just in review of it, it does appear to be responsive, and I'll explain a couple of additional things. But we did work directly with the applicant throughout the course of the past several months. And we basically softened the shoreline, but still provided the protection, recognizing that corner was experiencing, wave energies, boat waves, and things that were causing erosion, not only of Mr. Schwartz's property, but the neighboring property. So this provides that dissipation of wave energy. It also provides a planted buffer that's landward of a inland retaining wall. So there's protection, but it's not a bulkhead. There's also filter fabric, which is quite important, and a core log on top to give the new plantings every possible advantage over any spring high water or tidal influence that may tend to scour that area behind the stone. I do want to point out, Haley, you forgot to mention that they expanded the buffer by 20 feet.
I think I mentioned that.
Yeah,
We're
she
meeting
mentioned,
the
Did
50
you mention
foot.
it? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, we're
I
now.
didn't
up
I
to-
wouldn't forget that.
That's really
Thank you.
important, and I'll highlight it then, that the new plans do show the 50-foot buffer that the committee was looking for. So I know there's a lot of knowledgeable people on the applicant's team. They can certainly answer questions, but I wanted to make sure those points were made.
Can you go back to the footprint there a moment? I'm just wondering how this connects to the neighbor's property.
That's the existing condition plan. I would go down to that other land view. that
Here we
showed-
go. Yeah.
Right.
I will point out, Mary Ann, that there is stone that goes across the property line based on this plan.
Right.
Obviously, whatever easement is needed and or trustees authorization through a separate permit would have to be worked out. And Fred may be able to comment on, how best to do that. But that is one observation. And then just the only other thing that I'll add, if you were to ask me at the end of this, we would look for a construction management plan for this, very similar to what we've done on other projects, just because there could be environmental impacts associated with construction. And certainly Jane Costello and her team would be able to put something together that would address that. But those would be my only comments at the time, unless there are questions for me.
No, does anybody on the committee have a comment or a question?
I just have one question of Chick, or maybe it's two. Chick, are you satisfied with this? And are there other things that you would want to see changed?
Well, the applicant did provide an alternative analysis, but I can tell you that over the past few months, they've been extremely diligent in at least seeking my input. And I always say that it's not up to me, it's up to the Harbor Committee, but I'm happy to provide my opinion if it helps, and then it'll go before the committee. I looked at a number of options throughout the past several months. This is the one that made the most sense to me. And of course, they did provide their 285-9 requirements of the alternative analysis. But I am satisfied that this is responsive, that it addresses the applicant's issue, which we know is pretty severe erosion in that area, just based on the piled up core logs that are holding the bank back. We certainly don't want the applicant to lose property, but we also don't want to permit a hard shoreline structure in this transition area that goes to a natural shoreline on the property next door. In my mind, this kind of achieves all of those end goals and is the best solution in my opinion.
And I would totally agree. I'm very happy to see this. Is Mr. Spiegel, has he seen these drawings?
No, well, no, I have not.
Okay,
So, yeah, this is the first time I've seen them. And actually, I'm still waiting for my survey because I'm going to be working with Chuck as well to try to alleviate and contain my erosion. So once I get my survey, and I know Chuck is very busy, but I'm going to, be doing what I need to do to protect and maintain my property. So, yeah.
right.
No, but
So
I
we're
have not
gonna
seen this.
see-
This is the first time I've seen it. So, yeah.
Is it appropriate to let Mr. Spiegel ask questions at this point if he has some?
Do we have an open public
So-
hearing?
Yeah, it was opened last
I
time.
assume so, sure.
Yeah,
Well, so I guess so my question would be, Josh, the rocks are going to be on my property?
I think that's from Chuck to think, my understanding is the stones seaward of the mean high water mark are not on your property. As I
Right.
understand it, the wall is pushed in. I mean, Jane can discuss this, but the wall's pushed in so that the stone can be on my property, but I'm not sure if that's true or not. Jane, you guys have any comments about that?
Yeah, I mean, the way it'll impede just slightly onto your property. I'm talking maybe a foot.
Right.
a-
Yeah.
A foot onto
Yeah.
your
So
property.
I'm fine with that. I mean, so it's obviously not going to do anything to protect erosion on my property. So it's like,
It won't. And that first stone is
Right,
mostly
yeah.
mostly covered. It's
right.
underground.
And that's fine. Yeah, that's fine with me. So yeah, I'm perfectly okay with that. So yeah, it's all good. So, And
Great.
I'll be before you guys hopefully sooner rather than later, with, I'm also working with Jane. So hopefully we'll have a plan at some point in the near future. So, yeah.
All right. Great. Anything else from the Harbor Committee?
No.
Yeah, Marianne, if this, as Chuck mentioned, if this project does involve, some encroachment on the adjoining property, I think we should have something put in the record, some sort of written instrument or documentation that the neighbor, Mr. Spiegel, is giving permission for that to happen.
And is
Yeah,
that
our
something
office
you-
can, our office can probably draft something, that we can work out privately with Mr.
Yeah, that's
Spiegel
great.
to-
I mean, it's a private, it's not something that runs in favor of the village. But we should have just something in the record that's in the file. So we're not approving something that's an encroachment where we would get in trouble down the line. So, yeah, that's fine, Haley. That would be great.
Okay, thanks yeah, we'll work on that and that'll be part
Okay.
of our final package.
All right, thank you.
And
I would also
Fred.
guess that you're probably gonna have to go back to DEC, and they're gonna certainly want some type of arrangement between the adjacent property owners.
Yeah, we have a letter that was part of our DEC approval with regard to planting. So we might be able to work off of that on the rocks with Mr. Spiegel.
Great.
Can I have a motion? I think it's appropriate to close. Well, is there anybody in the public who, other than Mr. Spiegel, who would like to address this application? Do you see any hands, Doris?
I am looking right now. I do not see any hands.
Okay.
No.
May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
I'll defer to Fred or you, but I did want to see a construction management plan. That can be reviewed, as whatever administrative review, if you do close.
We could make that a condition of approval, I think, Chick,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think we'll have two conditions. One is this letter that, represents acceptance of this plan by the neighbor, and two is like a management plan, correct?
Yeah. And if there is a condition, just that it, satisfactory
Review.
management plan for the purpose of the permit.
Okay.
What's the thought about how the rock are going to be delivered? I guess would be part of the management plan, but I think in our last discussion, there was a concern about how that was going to happen.
Jane, I don't know if you want to chime in, but it was my understanding that part of the choice of rock was keeping in mind what we would be able to bring into the property.
Yeah, I mean, the size rock that we're proposing at this point is, it's a maximum of 300 pounds, and which is a lot less than what we were, what we would prefer to put at the site. So the stone is much smaller and it'll be easier to get into the site because of that. We'll have to come in multiple loads, but it's more manageable when we don't have as much weight to deal with.
Okay. All right, so may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
We have a motion on a table by Will Sharp.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, of closing the public hearing? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So now I think we're at the point of asking for a motion for Chick to draw up a decision here, subject to, receipt and review of a management plan, and also a letter, whether or not it's, amendment to something that's existed before, but that clearly shows the acknowledgement of this plan by Mr. Spiegel, the neighbor.
Correct.
Do I hear a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Lily. Second? Come on, please.
Don't
Second,
leave me
I
hanging.
said I'll second. I was muted, sorry.
Me too.
Okay, all right. All in favor? Aye.
aye.
All right. And I just really sincerely want to thank everybody who worked so hard on this to come to this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you all, and especially Chick. It was a real team effort, so we appreciate the guidance.
Great.
I would echo Mary Ann. Great team, great collaborative effort, and thank you very much for all your help, everybody.
Everybody. All right. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Okay, the next item on the agenda is 88 Redwood. Is there somebody here to speak to this application?
Hey,
Can
Josh,
everybody-
congratulations. Let me just. get out of this
I'll
thing.
wait for Lane.
Mr. Spiegel, can you turn off your mic?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Matt Ivins, Suffolk Environmental Consulting, on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome. Thanks, Doris. So we were here last on January 6, 2022 for this application. Do you guys want me to run through it as quickly as humanly possible to bring you up to speed, or no?
Well, one thing I know I want to see is the sketch that shows the original footprint with the new proposal.
Okay,
But yeah,
do that. Doris, can I share?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay,
You're ready.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Bear with me here. All right, so let me know if you can see this.
not yet.
No.
Hold on.
What happened to as fast as humanly possible?
Well,
Wow.
Herb, I'm not as young as you are, man. I'm not
That's for
Tough
sure.
crowd.
savvy. How about now?
Okay,
Yes.
Good.
All right. So Mary Ann, so this is requested by the committee last week, or I'm sorry, 2 months ago. This is what we have. We've overlaid in red the existing structural footprint, and then the blue is our proposal. Also, you can see this is an update. Chick had wanted us to overlay the 50-foot setbacks, the 75-foot setback line, and the 100 sanitary system setback line.
I think this just came in today, so apologies all around. I think there was a memo prepared earlier, but Matt really rushed to get us something that epic tonight.
Yeah, and it's fine, but the only difference between this and what you guys were submitted last week is the 50-foot, the setback line from wetlands. But you should have this in your package.
Yep. This is helpful. Thanks.
All right, so do you want me to continue with giving you a background, or?
Sure.
Okay, so as I stated before, in 2018, there was an application made for this property. It was just for the expansion renovation of the existing dwelling, construction of a pool, decking, deck steps, and a new IA system. It was discovered in August of 2019 that the groundwater was higher than previously recorded. So that we would have to do a redesign of the proposed IA system. It was then discovered that the existing dwelling was simply not salvageable. So then the project was then redesigned. In February 2021, a new application was submitted for the redevelopment of the lot. Can I go to another screen, or you guys still want this up?
You can go to another.
Okay, so let me just show you. So the initially proposed, this is the initial survey that we submitted to you guys. So, all right, that was before you guys 2 months ago. So what it was to remove everything from the site and redevelop it with a 1,600 square foot dwelling, deck, pool equipment, pool, front walkway, planters, gravel driveway, and a new IA system with a buffer that contained 4,725 square feet. You guys remember back in January, we left it. The board had requested that we explore alternatives to increase the proposed structural setbacks from wetlands and to increase the size of the proposed freeform buffer to match the size of a standard 50-foot wide buffer. So let me just go to the next one. So this is what we resubmitted to your board last week. I'll just walk you through. So we talked to the owner, we talked to their architect, the great Michael Lamont, about what we could do to increase the structural setbacks from wetlands. And what Michael came up with, which was a great idea, because basically the biggest problem we had with shifting everything was the IA system itself. So what Michael did was reduce part of the walkway out front here, this notched area here, to slide the house back about 3 feet away from the wetlands. Not just the house, but the deck, the pool, which already comply with setbacks, all of the stuff got slid back away from the wetland boundary. With that being said, we were able to also, you guys had requested that, if you remember, the original buffer kind of went a little bit further in than it's shown here. We squared it off, and by shifting the entire project towards the street, we were able to capture even more buffer area. So we went from our original buffer square footage of 4,725 square feet to our current buffer, which is now 5,238 square feet. If you compare that to a typical 50-foot wide standard buffer, that's actually over by about 252 square feet. So what you see here is actually larger than what a standard buffer would be. So we've improved it that way.
Matt, excuse me, when you say a standard buffer, you mean if you were to take that 50-foot buffer line and just follow the actual wetlands line?
Exactly.
That would be approximately 200 feet less than what you're proposing.
No, it would be greater. What I'm saying is that.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's basically the buffer that you see there. It's a free-form buffer, but it's about 252 square feet larger than a standard 50-foot wide buffer.
Okay.
So
I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, I think you had it right, Herb.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. So again, as we indicated in our recent submission last week, we currently have a property that contains improvements that are closer to the wetlands boundary than what we have proposed to replace it with. We have a property currently with lawn located about 5 feet from the wetlands boundary and no protective buffer. We have a property that is serviced by a non-compliant septic system built over 40 years ago. And we have a property that is currently not serviced with any type of stormwater control. In improving this project, our structural setbacks from wetlands will increase. You'll gain a larger than required buffer, which will be established to protect the on-site wetlands. You'll gain a new IA out system and proper stormwater control. For these reasons, I respectfully request that this application be approved. And I'm here to answer any questions.
So the corner of your proposed covered wood deck, covered meaning what? Covered meaning there's a roof on it?
On this section here, I'd have to defer to Michael Lamont.
No, the thing that's
Or the
closer
wetland.
to the
Oh, I'm
wet-
sorry, up here, yes.
Do you give any thought to making that material of that deck permeable?
Well, no, we've gone through that before, it's covered. So there wouldn't be any sense to make it permeable. Because it's hitting the roof of the deck.
It's only 42 feet from the wetlands.
True, but it's an increase in that structural setbacks than what's out there now.
Do you have an elevation of that? Or, yeah,
Again, I would probably defer to Michael Lamont if he had one on, was able to get one on, I'm not sure.
We usually get those kind of drawings with the submissions. Is he here or he's not? part of
Michael's
this?
here, yeah, it was never asked, so we didn't provide it, I apologize.
Well, I think it just, I don't want to be like a jerk, but you're coming in here with, even though it's an improvement on what's there, it's a project that doesn't meet the setbacks, so.
Well,
It
it's an
behooves us
improvement
to
over
look at-
existing. Yeah, no, I understand, it's a tough it's a tough application for you as well, but again, you have to look at the overall picture. I mean, you're gaining buffer, you're gaining IA system, stormwater, you're gaining increased setbacks to wetlands. I mean, there's really nowhere we can put this on the property without considering these things. We've already retreated twice so far.
Well,
I mean, I think it's.
I'm sorry, but that doesn't really
Well,
tilt this in your favor by saying you've done it twice already. It's like we've got certain setbacks, and those are, what it's not our prerogative. The setbacks are what is written in the code.
no, I understand that, but to hold people to a 75-foot setback on a property that's already improved, there's got to be a little leeway. I mean, again, I think we've gone above and beyond with the buffer on this. I mean, this is following, 2 months ago, the meeting where we were, told to explore these alternatives. And I believe we have, and I believe we've done it successfully. I think this is a very well thought out project.
Does anybody else have any comments?
Can you go back to the old versus the proposed?
To the, well, do you mean the existing conditions or the initial?
Yeah, the initial, existing and proposed.
Oh, the overlay, okay. Can you see that?
Yeah. Matt, what's the existing square footage?
Of the dwelling itself?
Yeah.
Okay, existing of the dwelling and, the entirety of the dwelling garage, it's 2,010 square feet.
And the proposed?
Proposed, the dwelling is 1,622 square feet.
On one floor? No, that's just one floor, right?
That's a footprint, yeah.
Yeah. So double that for, yeah.
Right.
I must not have been following that. You're
Go
saying
by,
that
run that again, Matt.
Yeah.
Okay,
What is red here is 2,000 square feet and change.
Yep.
And what's blue is 1,600.
yep.
No.
That
No, no.
doesn't.
Not, I'm
look
sorry,
like-
not the overall, but
No.
the footprint of the house, which I'll show you is right here. Consider this right here, this rectangle. That is the mass of the house. That's it.
Well, I think what we're also concerned about what's pervious and impervious. So then we'd kind of take into account that you have an impervious deck on the front of that house, which might as well be house as far as we're concerned. So what is the square footage of the impervious surface in this footprint?
Of
All the blue.
all the blue.
Well, I don't know. There's that deck out front and I've forgotten what's off to the side, but
And are you putting in planters?
Yes. Bear with me. Okay, yeah, proposed building coverage is 2,525 square feet. Proposed total lot coverage, which includes all impervious, is 2,988 square feet.
wow. And what's out there right now is 2,000.
Existing is 2,036, that's existing building coverage, and total lot coverage for existing is 2,912. So it's really a difference. It's not much. It's about 76 square feet. difference.
Can you tell us what's the difference between in the existing between 2,036 and 2,912? Where does that bump up go in terms of lot coverage? What's being added in other than the footprint of the house?
All right, so that's impervious would be the deck, well, the covered deck over here.
No, on the existing. You said the existing was 2036, but if you look at it on a total lot coverage basis, it goes up to 2,912. So what's there between the footprint and 2,912? It's like a 50% bump almost.
Yeah, it's probably the rear deck on the house here.
Well, can you flip to the drawings?
This actually, hold on, I gotta go back to the other one.
But the picture of the house there, that's the new one, not the old one.
I understand, but the survey for
Okay.
existing doesn't contain the coverage.
Okay,
So it could also be the driveway. The driveway is asphalt.
Why? Oh, the existing is asphalt.
Existing, yeah. We're proposing a pervious.
Yeah.
so what you're doing is you're exchanging a asphalt driveway for house or a deck, is that right? Because you still end up with about 2,900 square feet of impervious structure, correct?
I mean, if that's how it figures out, that's how it figures out. I mean,
Numbers sort of float around sometimes, but I think that's kind of what I've heard here.
mhm.
Lily, what are your thoughts? Or her? Will?
I think that it's a decent compromise. I'm looking at the aerial of the street, and if there was an example of cattywampus, this is it. Every house has got a different orientation, et cetera. I think the effort to move it towards the street is admirable. I'm not sure that Matt has convinced me. Well, if I was to have to, I don't know what the permeable, non-permeable, et cetera, is now versus what is proposed. I think the massing, by and large, the effort is commendable, in my opinion.
Thank you.
I'd like to see the drawings of the porch, the deck that's covered. Do we have some drawings? Is the architect here that can show that to us?
Yeah, if you let Michael in, and I can quit screen sharing.
Good evening. This is Michael Lamont.
Hi,
Architect
Michael.
from Stella Lamont Rahani Architects in Bridgehampton. I'm going to go ahead and pull up. We have some renderings. I have some floor plans. I mean, basically, the existing house is not conforming for pyramid as well as side yard setback. So we pulled the house certainly toward the street, the 30 feet from the street, as well as making it conforming from both sides. And we, spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to certainly comply with the pyramid by having a narrow site, which we did, but also not compromising the overall sort of form of the architecture. So I think that we tried to, sort of keep in mind the idea of scale and keep the house light and appropriate in terms of color and texture. Let me go ahead and pull up.
Did you need pyramid relief on this, Michael?
No, we do not.
Oh.
Can you see my screen?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Were there any other dimensional variances?
No.
Okay.
How about now?
Yeah.
So the top elevation is the rear of the house. I think what might be more helpful, and the reason we have that covered deck is there's essentially no outdoor space pretty much on the water side of this property, because it really, we pulled back in between the buffer and having some space outside the house. So the covered deck outside the living room is really the primary outdoor space. And that's why we felt, it was important to have it covered, because, our client and his family just wanted a space that they could be outside without having to be down. There's no lawn anyway. So really just having a space that could be out on the water side. But
Well,
I do
you
have some
have,
renderings.
You have the second floor cantilevered over that first floor, is that correct?
Yeah, so basically I have some renderings that might be more helpful to illuminate how we basically, came up with a plan that we thought was pretty sensible, that met the needs of our client and his family. And then, we use strategies and, and a lot of computer modeling to kind of figure out ways to keep the building, to keep it light, to have covered where we wanted, areas to be covered, and to, sort of avoid this idea of a kind of a big box, sort of architecture. So we did need some space upstairs to have the 3 bedrooms and the bathrooms. So we used, if I can sort of see, this is the resolution is a little, seems like not so great, but so this upper left rendering shows that area basically with the covered space that's outside the kitchen and the dining room with the covered deck above. We cantilevered a roof and use roof lines to try to keep the house feeling light and feeling not so voluminous sort of in its surroundings, and also to create shade where we wanted protection from the sun. Some areas for some protected walks, some of this cantilevered portion on the second floor gives us the space we need for a bathroom for that second bedroom, as well as some covered space on the side of the house to walk around and open the doors in inclement weather.
So this is 3 bedroom and how many bathrooms? 4 bathrooms?
I'll go ahead and pull up the plan here. And then this first rendering is the front side. So
Right.
on the street side, we were looking to have a house that, while it is the street side and we wanted to have privacy, we just wanted, a visually appealing structure that was, sort of sat nicely. I think it's contextual in the Redwood area. I think it's modern, but I think the idea of it's weathered wood, it's darker materials. I think it's going to blend into the natural surroundings nicely. And I'll go ahead and pull up the plan so you can sort of see how we were contending with this here. So starting with the second floor plan. So we have a master bedroom on the water side and then 2 guest bedrooms with bathrooms. We had to get the mechanical because being BFE compliant, there was no space under the house. And then we have a small little office nook at the top of the stairs that can be closed off for home office. So basically it's 3 bedrooms upstairs with 3 bathrooms and a small little office outside at the top of the stairs. And we like I said, we use, we really contended with, with pyramid because it's a narrow lot and we have to, and being FEMA compliant, the house had to be elevated. So we had to be, conscious of all of the sort of 3D volumetric pyramid lines in getting space that's not, sort of a wacky shaped space and just truncated rooms so we shifted everything around to comply with pyramid. And that way we had some of the offsets on the architecture allowed us to both comply with pyramid, get sensibly shaped rooms. And
the first floor?
The first floor plan. So the first floor plan has, you come in the front door, we have a little covered porch at the front of the house. So this architectural screen, just to give the building some sun protection from the south, as well as to just promote this idea of lightness and sort of a loose privacy without being fortress-like. Set of stairs coming in, a guest bedroom for the client's older parents who come visit on the first floor. The small, the mechanical is challenging, but basically a small laundry room and an open, just one kind of room for kitchen, dining, living. And that was one of the reasons that the public space is pretty modest. So that's why we, developed this covered area that could be furnished, protected from the sun, protected from the weather, that's outside the dining and living room, a couple of feet up off the ground, so they can really live up at the upper floor, because there's certainly the water side is all re-vegged, and then this re-veg comes around to the east side as well.
Are the columns supporting that end of the roof line, are those structural?
Those are structural.
Yeah. So my gut feeling, when you go back to the footprint on the yard, on the property, I think your design is lovely. I do. What's really bothering me is we have a 4-bedroom, 4-bath house on a tiny lot, and it doesn't meet setbacks. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out how that works. I mean, that's one of the things that people say is people do these knockdowns and they put these big houses on them. And I feel like this is elegant, but I feel it's kind of putting a bit of a small McMansion on a tiny lot. But I'm just one person on this committee.
What's
I
the,
think 3,000 square feet. I'm not sure at what point a McMansion sort of starts in terms of size, but I think the 3,000 square feet I think we tried to sort of
no,
reduce the scale of the building.
Yeah, it's a small lot. And I think you've been creative, but it's still a 4-bedroom house with a lot of outside, impervious living space. Just my thought. I'd like other people to, share their views. We don't all have the same views.
well, I would respectfully disagree, Mary Ann. I think that the architecture is actually pretty compact. We've looked at other projects where they had room upon room before you got to a room that seemed to be excessive. I look at this and I see something very compact. I think that the drawings that Matt showed really didn't illuminate how light the water side of the structure is, that it's an open volume. I mean, granted, there are 3 columns and an upstairs. I don't know what the roof line is. There's a roof line and then there's a mechanical above that. I would certainly not call this a McMansion. I think it's
Well, all right, so let's take that word back because I don't want to light everybody up using that word. But it's a
okay. I would say
It's
that
too late.
it's a very substantial house on a really quite small lot.
What's the
I guess
size of
my
the lot,
question
Matt?
is this whether or not there's a disconnect there? And it is only 42 feet from the setback, from the wetlands. And our code, which we're charged with, maintaining, is 75 feet.
Right.
So
What's
it's not a small change.
What's the size of the lot, Matt?
Okay, the size of the lot is 17,367 square feet.
17,000?
Yep.
Okay.
And again, what I tried to portray in that comparative analysis is that, look at the mass of the existing house versus the proposed. Again, we've tried to consolidate everything on this lot. And if you look at the mass of the existing house that extends within 50 feet versus the mass of the house and all improvements that are within 50 feet, it's a noticeable difference. We've pulled back almost everything on this project, on this property.
Can you show that again, Matt? Can you
Yep.
show that
Yeah.
superposition again?
Okay. Doris, just let me know when I can screen share. And I can't.
Yes, you're ready, Matt.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, so as I'm saying, oops. Let's do it this way. So again, I mean, you can see, look at the mass in red within 50 feet versus the blue. I mean, again, that's why.
But that's not what we're doing here. I mean, I don't feel like that's my charge, on the harbor committee, is to like decrease it by, 10 feet or whatever. I didn't write the law, but I feel that I'm charged with honoring the law.
But isn't the
And
law about
that's-
structures from setbacks and not masses and number of bedrooms?
Well, if it affects the sewage system, I think the number of bedrooms is applicable.
Well, I know, but that's kind of moot because we're putting in an IA system.
Just, it's larger.
I'll
So-
just add that the
And
law,
what we've done here is we've converted an impervious driveway into an impervious house structure. I think the house is elegant. Don't question that at all. I just question whether or not we should be building a house that's almost 3,000 square feet within 42 feet of the wetlands.
You
Looking at
pull
this
it closer
diagram
to-
also, the area that's over on the blue is, there's a lot of that area on the west side is pervious. It shows the same blue as the footprint of all of the proposed improvements, but a lot of that area on the west side of the proposed house is pervious.
Yeah.
It's
All
lawn
this
and
area
planted.
here. This,
That's all
this-
planted area.
That's all planted area. That's all.
All
it
right,
is.
well, I guess I'm just looking at the numbers because the numbers now counting the driveway is 2,900 square feet and the pervious area of the house
Impervious.
is proposed is 2,900 square feet. So yes, I agree that, you know, there's some area there that's impervious in the blue shaded areas now, but.
Can you pull it further or pull it closer to the road a little bit?
No, we have an IA system. We have to meet setbacks.
The
from the IA.
setbacks from the IA.
That's,
Not to mention zoning setbacks.
that's
So-
what
I mean-
that's the IA matters.
I mean, if I can just say one thing, I mean, from my standpoint, the irony of the application is that in terms of the main body of the house, the swimming pool, the IA system, all that stuff is a vast improvement.
Do we
over
have a
what's there.
swimming pool here?
Yes, but
Yeah.
beyond 75 feet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, of course, on the west side. Sorry. Yeah.
Right there.
And so, from my standpoint, one small irony of this is that the main body of the house and these immediate structures are an improvement or are conforming. The component of the application, which I think is maybe most controversial here, is the outdoor terrace area. And I wonder if there's some room for compromise there.
And not that it makes any difference, but can the flooring underneath on that deck, the down area, be pervious with the support structures sunk in, or is that not possible for the structural aspects of the house?
I mean, we currently have it as decking, which I guess decking is not technically pervious, even the water drains through, correct?
That's correct.
So, and I guess pervious, to come up with a material that's technically pervious underneath the roof. I guess what we could do is whether it would be pavers and sand.
Or pavers
Possibly.
and grass, yeah.
But aren't you,
It
you're
couldn't be
elevating
grass
the,
because the grass won't
Yeah.
grow, so it can't be grass, but it could be pavers and sand if you think that's preferable than decking over, open joints that drains through to the ground.
Right. So, Chip,
But
what
decking-
kind of materials come to mind when you think about that? What could be suitable under there?
Well, it should be pervious and it should not be part of the structure, based on a building permit definition, because that's really what the setbacks are speaking to. I will say that, Mary Ann's questions for the applicant are consistent with other questioning and due diligence that the Harbor Committee has done on prior applications. And I'll just, remind again, the 285-9D 1 and 2 are kind of the critical items that if you're going to grant less than the required setback, you need to determine the applicant has demonstrated that there are no practical alternatives which meet the standards. And the applicant needs to demonstrate that, to the satisfaction of the committee. And you have asked about, things like condensing the sanitary system. Can the house be smaller? Is the pool critical? And if the pool were not there, could the house setback be greater? Those are all the types of things you've asked on prior applications. So we just need to make sure that we meet that, no practical alternatives requirement and be consistent with your prior decisions.
I can address the pool question there if that would be helpful. The pool is not in an area that we could have building, and the pool wouldn't allow us to build. The house is pulled back to the street front setback, so that the pool doesn't have any impact on our ability to pull the house further back from the wetlands.
Well, the pool,
Because we have a narrow lot, so the pyramid, the pyramid line was driving a lot of the design. So we had to sort of shift things around to meet the pyramid. So it's a being relatively narrow lot that we needed that space to meet the pyramid.
but that's pyramiding for a second floor.
All right.
If the pool were a single story, that would, I don't think that would hit pyramiding concerns, would it? Somebody tell me. That's not my long from any area of expertise I have, but I would, as long as it's got a 15-foot side lot setback, I would think that you could use that pool area for a first floor area. And I think, Chick is right. I mean, that's what I'm struggling with here. And I hate to say, be a problem here, but I just don't know that this lot supports a 4-bedroom house with that much impervious outdoor living space.
Michael,
It's
how close
beautiful.
are you,
It's
how close are
beautiful.
you to the front yard setback?
For 30.
You're right at 30?
Mhm.
How come 82 Redwood looks like it's much closer to the street? Did they get a variance?
82, I'm not familiar with that one now.
If you look on the aerial, it's to the east, it's really close to the street. I'm just wondering if, when Lily's thought was to pull it closer to the street, but you're saying that you've got zoning. But I don't know that zoning might not make I mean, you guys tell me, but it looks like there's a lot of different shapes at the street. There's not a contiguous setback. Would it, I'm just offering this as a suggestion, would it be worth it to look at asking for some front yard setback if you just pull the house back some number of feet?
Oh,
I think it's really, from my point of view, and I know I sense that there's other thoughts here, but I think it really needs to have this house needs a different lot. And you really need to, as Chick says, there are practicable alternatives. And an elegant, beautiful house could be built on this lot that meets the setbacks. And I feel personally that's my charge, is to observe these setbacks.
well,
And
Marianne,
I
just
would-
one thing. I don't know if they could meet the full 75-foot setback with the body of the house. I think as a matter of the way that the Harbor Committee has operated in the past, when you have a built lot that's non-conforming in all these ways, septic system, dumping into the cove, we have tried to encourage building that shows a substantial improvement on what's there, even if it doesn't meet the full 75 feet.
I disagree. I don't think,
Well, that's what we've done.
well, I don't
You may
know.
disapprove of that, but
No.
we have another application tonight,
Which one?
Cove Road.
Cove Road was approved a long time ago.
Well, not that long ago, 2 years ago.
Well, let's not mix Cove Road with this, but I
Okay.
do know that for, 12 Green Street, people approved that. I voted against it, people approved it. And we'll see, how that works out. But I don't, and I agree with you, Herb, it would be hard to meet the 75-foot setback. But this goes a long way from meeting the 75-foot setback.
Right. Also, Marianne, just one other thing. If it were a vacant lot, that would be another story. Then you could say, well, you should meet all the setbacks, because what you have or you're proposing for the lot is a built environment as opposed to an unbuilt one. Here, you already have an existing built structure that
Right, but
is
we're not,
non-conforming.
but we're not using any of that house. It's a total knockdown.
Well, that's true. That is true.
But the current house is not FEMA compliant, so I think that there was just an issue that we were unable to use the existing structure in terms of FEMA compliance as well. I do think that if having pervious material, if pavers and sand or something like that works underneath that terrace, we would certainly be willing to look into that if that would be
Can you
helpful.
cantilever that roof without structural supports?
I'd be
How far does that cantilever out now? Do you know?
It's about,
It's not
it's about,
if
it's about, it's about
I guess
12
if it's
feet.
on
I mean,
structural systems, it's not really cantilevered, right?
Right.
Well,
yeah,
I
no,
don't
it's-
think it
it's
matters
projected
whether or
about 12
not
feet.
the cantilever, I mean,
It's just the columns. I mean, we have 3 column pads that
Right.
would be subterranean there.
Well,
But we could look at, you know, getting rid of the 3 structural footings there and, you know, using,
would
you know,
increase
coming up
this-
with some,
yeah, that would increase.
but
the
we'd still
setback
have,
right there.
but we'd still have so you're saying eliminate, but how about the covered space in general, the 12 or so feet of covered space on the outside of the house?
Well, that's the cantilever, right? Isn't that what we're talking about?
can we go to the renderings? I think that would be helpful, or at
Mhm.
least for me, it would be,
Or the plan, actually, I think.
or the plan, that's fine. But the cross section, right? Herb?
The first floor plan, I think, is what we want to see.
Yeah. I mean,
There we go.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared to, I thought these were in the file. I didn't realize these weren't.
It's all right, take your time.
Michael, in section, could you shift the cantilever back towards the massing of the house?
Well, yeah.
What
I
is
think
the,
they
what,
want it because they want the outdoor space, but I think that there's got to be some.
Well, Michael, what's let's see, what's the second floor on the street side look like?
In a plan or in a rendering?
Yeah, plan.
So there are 3 bedrooms. The existing house has 3 bedrooms plus den. We are at converting the existing den to a bedroom in the proposed scheme.
Well, you have a little bit of an open den down there in the office, right?
Yeah, we did. We put an office nook at the top.
Right. And what's the
current
dimension
den.
of that? It could be converted to a bedroom, right? It's probably 8 by 10, 8 by 9, whatever the rule is.
7 by something.
Whatever. I don't think that's
Yeah.
really the issue that we're, squabbling here about, but it just seems. Let's go back to the outdoor space at the waterfront side of the house. And
On the plan
well,
or the rendering?
well, I like the cross section as we'd see how far that that second floor extends over and right. So Chick, the fact that there'd be a column or 3 columns supporting that floor, the second floor, I mean, that's the kind of accommodations that I would feel more comfortable making rather than having a solid, room there with a impervious floor.
I mean, would stone pavers and sand qualify as a pervious material under that covered roof?
Yep.
We can do that.
But what's the difference between, I mean, if you've got wood planks, if you have a little space between them, is that a huge difference between stones and sand?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We would be willing to make that material a pervious material. Stone pavers is with sand joints under that space. I can also look at perhaps we could it messes up the furniture plan, but I think that I could move the columns back. You could see the columns could be moved back about 5 feet.
I mean,
in line.
That's a fantastic idea.
That goes a long way, I think, to dealing with what the concerns are here, in my view. Because then you can make the argument that what you're proposing is very much an improvement over what's there on the site now, in my view.
I mean, we could certainly do that. I didn't realize that the column footings would be the issue there, but certainly we can move those columns back to be in line with the structure above, and that would gain us about 5 more feet of distance.
Marianne, does that sound
Well,
better?
what do we, we're looking at 40, can we go back to the footprints, please, again, with the dimensions?
It's almost 50 feet at that point.
The plan or the survey, the site plan?
The site plan?
Okay.
Yeah.
Madam, you
Yeah,
have to
I
take
got it.
over. I'm gonna.
Go ahead. All right, Doris, you let me know.
Go ahead, Matt.
Do you want this or do you want something else?
I
Do you want
wanted,
this- you want the survey?
this probably does it as well, but I think it's the survey that we were,
All right,
I was
let me-
thinking of.
All right, let me get you the survey then.
Well, it looks like it'll bring it back almost to the 50-foot setback line. Does that sound right, Michael, about that?
Yeah.
Close?
Yeah, can we blow this up,
That's-
zoom in a little bit on this?
Maybe
That
not
sounds
quite
about right,
50
yeah.
feet. Not quite 50, I don't think, but very close.
So what is 50, what is, right, so actually,
53
all that,
feet.
yeah, it would be more than 50 feet. The corner of the house, the actual structure of the house is 50 feet, so,
Well, it would be between the difference between 42 and 53, right?
right,
Something like that.
11 feet.
So if you split the difference there, it's
Yeah, they'd be somewhere in the middle
47,
of
48.
that. Yes, right.
I would be more comfortable with that.
Me too.
Are we talking about changing the roof line as well, so that when the setback is shown, it will be greater than 42? Or
Nope.
just column?
No,
Just the deck there. I think conceptually, this is a pretty interesting issue that Marianne has brought up. I can just say that I've experienced houses with brick with sand chinking, and it was really remarkable in a beach environment. You don't see it much out here, but I think Michael and Matt might take that to heart, and it would look at this. That's 130 square feet, if I'm not mistaken. If oh, it's more than that.
It's more than that.
Yeah, it's a substantial amount. That's moving in the right direction, everybody. And it would be, I think it wouldn't deter from the aesthetic of the intent of the architecture.
Not at all.
So Chick, from your point of view, being really religious about this, the fact that it has a cantilevered structure over that pervious area still says that our setbacks are only 42, right?
It's part of the structure, so I would agree with that.
Isn't there something in the code, Chick, that you're allowed a 4-foot cantilever before it intrudes or it's counted as a structural system? Is there anything
Wow.
like that? Does anybody know anything about that?
Yeah, I've experienced that in the past.
I mean, I know that.
It's code, so it would be some
Right.
other section. I don't know if Fred is aware, but
I'm not familiar with that. Maybe something like in the building code, but I don't think
Yeah.
it's part of the zoning code.
Okay.
The other thing I would mention is we're kind of talking about things that would, be mitigative and all of that. But I still want to get back to what Chick said at the beginning, which is what we always come up with when we can't meet the setbacks on properties where they're already improved. You still have to show that there's no practical alternative that meets the setback. And I really think that and then you get to talk about all the great mitigative things that you've done. So there really still is the need, I think, and, to show that there isn't a practicable alternative in this case that meets the setback, because I don't think there's anything like that in the record now, unless I'm missing
Right.
it.
So
And
where's-
this reminds me a little bit of the discussion on 12 Green Street.
Green
We had the
Street.
same discussion about practical alternatives. It's not quite on all fours. There's some differences here, but the discussion as far as practicable alternatives is the same, and that really should be addressed, I think, by the applicant also. And that will make all of these other mitigative measures that I think of the board likes a lot to be able to consider them.
So could you draw what the 75-foot setback would be across this property line?
Yes. Hold on.
It's about where the pool is. It is where the pool is.
Actually, yeah, let me hold on. Let me just go to the overlays, the other ones.
Yeah, you have that other graphic, Matt. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hold on one sec.
The other question is, can you get a variance to pull the house closer to the street?
Well, you still have to deal with the IA system setbacks too.
But
Right.
how much leeway do you have with the IA right now?
What is it, 5 feet, or is it?
Yeah, and I will say that we have had sanitary engineers testify to the committee to look at, can the sanitary system be condensed? In other words, what are the minimum property line setbacks, setbacks between pools, setbacks from foundation?
Yeah.
And it can also go
Wanna
under
look
the
at the
driveway.
minimums.
Well,
I don't know where the
that's what we're doing here. Okay, can you guys see this or no?
No.
All right. All right. I'm going to. Okay. All right, so here we have the 75-foot setback. All right, so can you see that? It cuts right through here.
Right.
And Marianne, just to answer your other question, yeah, we have the majority of the system is under the driveway.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a big driveway.
The corner of the house, the southwest corner of the house touches the 30-foot street setback over near the IA system.
From past experience, Michael, what do you think about taking an average along the street in terms of setback? This, it looks to me from an aerial that there's a lot of, like I said, peculiar geometry, and you have a compelling argument with zoning relief if your house is not egregiously large, that the Harbor Committee is asking you to move away from the water, and maybe there's an argument you can present there. If in fact the street, which it looks to me like there's a lot of different geometries, and I think there's a lot of people on this committee that would like to see it pulled closer to the street, and you can have your cake at that point.
So what are we talking about? We're talking about the house as it's designed right now, that I guess it's the northeast corner of it is 53 feet from the wetland. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So we're talking about 20 feet as the house is designed now.
And then the discussion of practicable alternative. Does practicable alternative mean it has to be beyond the 75 foot? I don't think so. I think we need to see that they're not asking for a swimming pool, et cetera. It's just the mass of the house. So what Michael, have you thought about going to zoning and asking for some front yard setback relief?
I think they thought we were going to approve this, but.
No, I think that we were, we tried to meet all the zoning setbacks. I mean, pyramid setback was challenging. The existing house is non-conforming in terms of pyramid and side yard setback. And that's why they built the existing house, kind of on a diagonal, because it improved the water view, but that's why it was non-conforming. So by straightening up the house, it certainly decreases, the view to the water, but it makes we meet all of the zoning setbacks, which we thought was important. So we're touching setbacks on 3 sides.
So the area that's the pool, you said that couldn't be housing because of the pyramid, but I don't think I got an answer to the question is whether or not that was an issue if it were a 2-story housing structure in the area of the pool, if it were only a 1-story structure there, which I know blows up your design, but that is feasible, correct?
And that there is, as long as we meet building setback on that side, certainly there is a possibility to put building over on that side. It would be single story.
Right. And there's a lot of space over there that's 75 feet away from the water. That could be living space. What is your setback from the lot line on the east side? It looks like it's a lot more than 15 feet, but that could be wrong.
I believe that's 16 feet.
Oh. Well, I feel that both our consultant and our lawyer have been reminding this committee that we really need to be abiding by the law. And the law is a 75-foot setback. And I feel we're in a difficult space here because the house that's been proposed doesn't really fit on this lot with a 75-foot setback. And I don't know that we are compelled to accommodate what's a beautiful design, but may not be appropriate for this lot and the law that we have in Sag Harbor.
I'm just not sure any house we could design on this lot. If you didn't need a variance from the zoning board, we could meet the 75-foot because the existing house is so much further north that if you look at the available building envelope between the 75 and the 30 from the street, there's just not much left.
Yeah, you get nothing. This is basically what you'd get.
Well, you might want to explore that.
I think you should at least, if you think that's the case, you need to demonstrate that.
Right.
Put it in the record.
Right. And it'd be interesting to have on this drawing what the 30-foot setback is from the street as well. And it shows us exactly what we have then between 75 feet and 30 feet and what we have to play with.
And I would also mention that is looking as part of this. I mean, the Harbor Committee, has their standards and they have to look at those standards, and that's what they do. From an overall village zoning perspective, the elimination of nonconformities is generally seen as a good thing when it comes to zoning.
Right.
And that is something that, that might be a problem if you went to the zoning board for a variance. And I think that, that needs to be looked at here also as to what's practicable and what's not. So I think you need to put all of that together and really demonstrate, if it's possible, demonstrate to the Harbor Committee that there isn't a practicable alternative that meets the setbacks.
And I don't think that that's all on the basis of a 4-bedroom den house.
Yeah.
So to demonstrate that we meet the 75-foot setback, because that's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the law says. I mean, is there a practicable alternative that could meet all the wetland setbacks for structures, for septic, et cetera?
I mean, practicable is sometimes in the eye of the beholder, I guess.
Well, it's also measured in feet and inches. And I think that's where we are. I mean, the pool is pretty big. And
Well,
there's like no
Mary Ann,
rule. Yeah.
Mary Ann, could you clarify for me, or maybe Fred could, again, that question of if they meet some definition of practicable alternative, does that mean that they have to be 100% outside of the 75-foot setback?
That's what the code says. And there is a definition, as I recall, of practicable alternative in the code for
There
the,
is, I'm just
Yeah.
looking at it, Fred.
yeah.
I read it, it's kind of long. It might be helpful.
I think so. I would like to
Yeah.
know that.
Applicable alternative in 285-3 is an alternative which is both available to the applicant and capable of fulfilling the overall purpose of the project. Available and capable of being done means the alternative is obtainable and feasible in terms of reasonable costs, existing technology, and best available measures, i.e. most up-to-date technology or the best designs, measures, or engineering practices that have been developed or are commercially available for the proposed use and project purpose. It continues, project purposes shall be defined generally, e.g. construction of a single-family home. The purpose of evaluating practicable alternatives shall be to locate activities in compliance with the setback requirements prescribed herein to as great a degree as possible so that impacts to the wetland are avoided to the maximum extent practicable. Where compliance to the setbacks prescribed herein cannot be met, the practicable alternative analysis may reduce the scale of the activity in parens, including but not limited to a reduction in the size of a proposed structure, close paren, consistent with the project purpose, proposed use, and permit issuance standards set forth in Chapter 285. That's it. It's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful.
It is helpful though, because you know, all of this discussion, you know, you are certainly doing your due diligence. But there are other standards that speak to environmental impacts. If you go down in 285-9D after 1 and 2, you know, there's others that have to be met as well. And this sort of opens a little bit of a door to at least maximize the setback and protect the wetlands. And, you know, maybe Fred can comment further on the legal aspect, but I think that gives you at least some ability. And look, I'll be honest, if I were the applicant, I'd show a house that conforms to the 75. And I suspect the committee would agree that that may not be practicable because it's just so tiny. You don't want a house that's a pencil. And that might open the door for something greater than what's shown, but you know, perhaps not meeting that strict 75.
So
Just
Chip,
adding my commentary that to me is logical, and Fred should probably comment on the legal.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chick, and you know, and it's you know, it's the zoning, and you know, it's also that we want the IA system, and that if you're going to put an IA system in on this lot, that's going to constrain, you know, buildings and structures also. So they're, you know, they're kind of getting squeezed from both sides. But I just think that they have to, you know, consistent with the definition, they have to make, you know, they have to meet that burden of proof.
And
You know,
the other thing that I'd like to say is, like, nobody questions the legitimacy and the ironclad nature of the pyramid law. And except for Will here tonight, nobody really questions that there has to be a 35 setback from the street. But people are easy with questioning the 75-foot setback from the wetlands. And I know we're going on a ways here, but Chick, you're much more articulate than I am, but can you briefly just remind all of us why we have a 75-foot setback from wetlands and why it's important to the life and the culture that we have here on the water?
Sure. You know, I'll say that I work in a lot of jurisdictions and areas. I'm familiar with DEC. I know Matt is as well. If we were doing this project in the town of Southampton, or, you know, or the village of Southampton, the setback could be as much as 125 feet. or 150 feet. When the Village of Sag Harbor evaluated their wetland law just before I came in to assist the village, it was recognized that, the village has a lot of existing structures. They would never meet that type of setback, but protection of the wetlands is extremely important. So you want to provide a maximized buffer for protection of the wetlands, dissipation of stormwater, reduction of lawn area, and habitat for wildlife. And you want to set back your structures so that you're respecting visual character, protection of the wetlands, not compacting soils, and really, enabling that maximized buffer. So the village, and again, this was told to me as I came in, looked to reach a compromise, and that compromise was thought of to be something that should be looked at pretty strictly, because it's actually the minimum that the DEC allows, but nowhere near what some other towns and villages do. And it's important for water quality, protection of the wetlands, protection of habitat, reduction of erosion, dissipation of stormwater, and all those factors that I mentioned before, as well as, if you look at Article 25, even education. All of these discussions that we embark on in front of the public at these meetings, it's important for the public to be aware of the importance of wetlands, the importance of buffers, the importance of water quality protection, and even wetlands themselves as an educational value in addition to their ecological value. So I hope that wasn't too long. I hope that was helpful, Marianne, and what you were looking for.
Very.
Yeah, I just wanted us to remind ourselves, and that's all of us, as to why we have a 75-foot setback and why it's as important as pyramiding and, street setback and, setbacks of, septic systems from houses. There's a reason there, and it seems like it's an easier one to say, it doesn't matter if it's 50 feet or 75 feet. It does matter, and it's not an extreme ask. As you pointed out, other villages and towns have a much greater ask in terms of a setback. So
that is well documented in Chapter 285. There's a legislative intent that goes through, the reasons for protection of wetlands.
I mean, I think when we designed the structure, I think just listening to Chick's outline of all the benefits that needed to be considered, I think we've actually addressed every single one of those benefits. Certainly there could be increased benefits, but I think, elimination of the lawn, increase of wetland buffer, stormwater management, IA system, meeting zoning setbacks. I think all of those things were considered in designing this. I think that when we look at a 75-foot setback with the 30-foot setback from the street, it is going to be a pencil, a very irregularly shaped, box that's just not going to be possible. So I think the homeowner would say, I'm just going to leave the existing house because it's bigger than what I'm allowed. I'll just deal with what I have. And there will be no benefits to the environment, because I think that conforming envelope is going to be so irregular and so small that it's just not going to be possible to design something that even has the similar utility as the existing dilapidated structure, non-FEMA compliant
Michael,
structure.
You're a very creative person, and I would, I can see that from the renderings and what you've put together, and I would like you to think about that a little more as to what could be designed that meets the kind of expectations that Sag Harbor Code has.
Michael, this is Will. I think there's a clue here. I'm looking at this a lot in our, the clue goes to the street in the trapezoid shape and Norman Jaffe. I think that as much as I appreciate your rational architecture, I think you got to look at that angle there, because you said something earlier that the corner of the house is in the front yard setback, but the east corner is quite a bit towards the water. I'm not sure a reentrant corner is such a good thing karmically, but Norman Jaffe got away with it. And I think that that might be something that you could look at, because if you capture that corner and you parallel the street property line, you're gonna step in the right direction substantially. You're gonna change the aesthetic from an orthogonal to, let's just say, a Norman Jaffe shape. But you're quite, you know that, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to work with you. I just look at all of that red space there, I guess it's the garage, and I would say, or whatever that is towards the street, therein lies, I think, part of the solution. And if it's not a hard reentrant trapezoid, it's something, capture that street part of the property, because your 30-foot setback on the right side of the property is not, you got way too much
Empty space.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that I'm not disagreeing with anything that's been said, but I'm also concerned again that we also look at the benefits of a project. Now, hopefully that this can be redesigned to capture all of the benefits of maximum setbacks, et cetera. But I'd rather see a minor violation to the setbacks and get an IA system than not get the IA system. I mean, our statute that we're talking about in terms of setbacks as part of the wetlands law was put into effect when the science was a little different than it is today, when the thought was that the most danger to the environment was in stormwater runoff from lawns, et cetera, as opposed to being the nitrogen that comes from septic systems. So I think we just have to consider that in terms of the overall benefit of a project to the environment.
But John, it doesn't lessen the dangers of the stormwater runoff. All this new education and development has shown us the dangers of nitrogen. So it's like compounding it more. So when they put the 75 foot there, maybe setback, maybe it was mostly because of stormwater and, coastal integrity. But now we know a lot more about the dangers of nitrogen, but that's additive. It's not like taking any of the other dangers away, that were the reason for the 75-foot setback.
Well, I just want to consider that if we have a project that's going to give us an IA system, that should be a strong consideration for approving something that's going to give us that, that improvement. Rather than saying that okay, you didn't quite meet this, so we're not going to improve it, and have the property owner say, okay, I'll just leave it like it is.
I think that's a hollow threat. I don't think anybody's going to live in the structure that's there. But I'm not sure that we're moving forward. I think we've all expressed our thoughts, and I think that might be helpful to give it a month and see what these creative people can come back with.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I wasn't disagreeing with the benefits of the setback. I was just saying that there has to be something else considered, and that's and it's on every one of these properties. Is that you're getting an IA system, which in and of itself is a tremendous benefit to the environment.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and not to beat a dead horse, but not just the IA system. You're getting the buffer, you're getting the non-disturbance area, you're getting all the surface runoff control, you're getting the dry wells. So there are benefits, but again, that's not to argue with what Fred and Chick have previously said. I'm just pointing that out.
Michael and Matt, do you feel like you can go back to your client and talk to them about our discussion tonight and maybe come back with some revision in a month or two?
We're certainly going to discuss it with them.
All right.
I don't know, Michael, do you want a month?
I think we can certainly try for seeing what we can do here. I don't have a lot of hope to hit the 75 foot and the 30, but I will do everything we can to come up with something that seems sensible and worth pursuing.
Great.
Excellent.
All right. May I have a motion to adjourn this application until the April 7th meeting?
I
I'll
move.
make a motion.
Thank you. A second, please.
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody. That was
Okay.
a lot of work.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
You bet. So moving on to 23 Harding Terrace. Is there somebody here can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Before this starts, excuse me, before this starts, I'm going to recuse myself as a neighbor and friend.
Thank you, Will.
Okay.
Excuse me also.
We need to, wait,
Wait,
Kelly, we need to open the public hearing. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing, please?
I'm not here. I'm actually not talking about this application, but I do have a request. I have Zoom hearings in Nisququag at 8 o'clock. Is there any way that 29 Harding Terrace can get moved up on the agenda so I can finish up before those hearings begin? They put me on last knowing that I had this, and so I'm trying to get both done.
Doris, how do we put the order of these applications in? Is it how they come in from the applicants?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, as they are tabled monthly, they roll over, so it's on the agenda. But I do recall an email from, I think it was Kelly, right? And I did,
Yes.
I emailed it to you, so then you can address it here at the meeting if you want to move up the.
Yeah, got it.
The applicant.
Fred, do you have any problem with that? I mean, I don't want
It's not a legal issue. It's just, it's really the discretion of the board as to what, we list them in the order they come in, there's no magic to that. So.
Okay. Let me just offer the applicants for 14 Cove Road and 23 Harding Terrace, if they have any strong objections to our rearranging the agenda here during the ongoing meeting. Okay, good. You don't see any hands there, Doris?
No, I don't.
All right.
Some exasperation.
What?
I saw some exasperation.
Well, all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to entertain 29 Harding Terrace. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion. It's Hillary.
Okay, again, I'm going to recuse myself.
Right.
Real sharp.
Okay. So that means Hillary, you're a voting member on this application as an
And I'm-
applicant
Yeah.
or as a alternate. Did I have a second for opening the public hearing?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is there somebody here to address the application for 29 Harding Terrace?
Yes, Kelly Rosado with Land Use Ecological Services, with offices in Medford.
So
And,
Kelly,
I just want to say thank you.
Kelly, your audio is really bad.
No.
Do you have headphones? Do you have?
Don't know how to fix it. No, is it that there's background noise
Yes.
or the microphone is,
Your voice is
there's
just.
background noise? Let me do something quick. Is that any better?
Yeah. I think it is.
Okay, excellent. Sorry about that. And I just want to say thank you for doing this. I had emailed Boris as soon as I realized we were on the agenda and had a conflict, and I appreciate you guys accommodating me, everyone else for letting this happen. I do have a presentation to make on the application tonight. If
So Kelly,
can
yeah,
share
your
the
audio is
screen,
really,
Doris?
your audio is a problem. Is anybody else distracted by it? Is it a problem?
Terribly distracted.
It's still bad.
Maybe try shutting off your video. Sometimes that helps with the audio.
And if you have your phone that's turned on next to your computer,
All
that's
right,
sometimes the problem.
let me try muting the computer.
I think it's
All
better.
right, let me put, did that help? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, excellent. So sorry. I'm even on a new computer because I know we've had issues with past hearings. Doris, are you able to allow me to share my screen?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Kelly, I think you need to introduce yourself.
Sorry, Kelly Rosado with Land Use Ecological Services. I am representing the applicant at 29 Harding Terrace. And just bear with me one sec while I get. Are you able to see a screen?
Not yet.
Hey, Hillary.
Yeah. Hey. For you?
Oh, it's not letting me share for some reason. Oh, this is just a whole lot of fun. All right, well then I'll do this verbally. You all have the application materials that we submitted. So basically, you guys, you remember I was before the board a year ago in March, with a prior owner of this property that was looking to put an addition onto the existing house for a pool. After lots of discussions, that application did not go anywhere, and it was recommended by this board that any applications be confined to the existing footprints of the development. So fast forward a year, we have a new owner, and this owner is coming in with that exact proposal to put an addition on top of the existing structure. The proposed addition, there's a small second-story addition of 125 square feet on the southwest corner of the house, where there's currently a one-story dwelling with a deck above.
I'm sorry, there's currently what?
532 third-story addition above that, not only in the southwest corner, but in the kind of center of the house. The other elements that were part of the previous application that the board liked, there's a two-story dwelling there now. Green again.
Yes, suddenly you're live.
With a two-story.
Oh, this is Chick. Doris just allowed me to share, so I was able to.
Okay. So I'm concerned when you talk about going outside of the existing footprint, and you were talking about some additions. Can you show us that?
No, there are no additions going outside of the footprint. That was the entire point, is that this application has the additions going up. There's no expansion of the footprint.
Okay.
And the elements that were on the prior application, the IA sanitary system in the front yard on the southwest corner, the stormwater management system with dry wells north of the dwelling, and to the west, the 4,000 plus square foot buffer area north and east of the structures are all incorporated into this design. They are still also modifying the driveway to become pervious and increase wetland setbacks. So the result of the project here is that you have no increase in development footprint. You have an increase of over 12 feet of wetland setback with that driveway modification. You have a decrease in impervious lot coverage of 974 square feet with, again, that driveway modification. And then, of course, you have the nitrogen treatment sanitary system, you have the stormwater management system, and the buffer. And I had a whole presentation prepared, and I'm not sure why my computer's not letting me share. And I'm really sorry for that. I could certainly try to email it to somebody
Well, I think you're covering a lot of the basics of what we need and what concerns us in the Harbor Committee. And
yes.
This is
one
a
thing
very helpful graphic. I'll just point out, Kelly. And I do have your most recent submission, so we can scroll through and you can present. But this shows the existing area that's on an aerial photograph and the landscape plan.
Yes, and that orange area is the area of the of the dwelling, and then there are decks, and then the proposed addition. It's hard to see because it's faded out, but is outlined in red. You have the modification of the roof line and the proposed addition, again entirely within the development footprint. The one thing I will say is that, you know, all of the addition is entirely within 75 feet of the wetlands, but that is because pretty much the entire site is within 75 feet of the wetlands. There's a couple of feet on the west side of the property that in some areas that are not. That was an exhibit that I had prepared. I had shown it last year when we had the other application on, and had prepared it again with this one, but so again, there's no alternatives that get us to 75 feet. This board had recommended that any improvements be confined to the existing footprint, and we've done that while still providing all of that mitigation that the board liked in the application we had with the prior owner.
Okay, does anybody on the committee have a question for Kelly?
Not so far.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, no, not so far.
Oh.
I'm fascinated that I'm reading under the plants that the plants will be nursery grown from seeds collected within a 200-mile radius of the project site.
That just means that they're not going to be sourced from, you know, the Midwest or somewhere that they're not adapted here. They'll be sourced from a nursery that grows them locally. Yeah.
Like that.
Actually, 200 miles is pretty far, Lily.
I know.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
local genotypes where possible, it makes sense, but you can't always get it. But
Right.
that's a good observation.
So Chick, what are your thoughts about this?
Well, my thoughts are that we, we beat up Kelly quite a bit last year.
Right.
And this is a new owner, but the same consultant, she heard everything that we talked about. We recognize that, you know, the entire house is within the 75 feet.
Right.
The wetland line is shown in green here on the east side. But you have an existing house and they're working within the footprint, and it's really everything that this committee had opined on based on the prior application.
Correct.
I have no comments. I was quite impressed and pleased when this came in.
Right. Herb, Will, John Parker, anybody have a comment here?
None for me.
No.
My comment is that, again, in referencing my last comment, is we get an IA system here. You know, we get a little better setback, and the big thing here is we get an IA system. I was worried last year when it didn't, or the year before, whenever it didn't go through, because we were not going to get an IA system. We were going to have a continuing period of time with an old non-functional septic system, et cetera. So I'm glad to see this.
Right.
Just say one thing that Kelly, we had a memo. I hope you received it. It was from February 3rd. And it just had a couple of more housekeeping type items. I can send that to you if you need it. But it's things that could easily be addressed between now and the next meeting, depending on what the commission wants me to do on the application.
Yes, I did get that memo. I did have a couple of questions actually for you, Chick. With regards to the depicting the additions to the residence and providing the square footage, that they are outlined on the survey, and the square footages are down on the lower right below, down right, and coverages, right, that note right
DEC
down
coverages?
there.
Okay.
Yes, and then there's a note that lists the addition square footages. The surveyor, when I asked him about it, he said that's really the best way he could do it. So hopefully that's okay with you, showing, like I said, showing that outline and then listing the areas.
Yeah, that does look fine. Maybe it was just, yeah, it's a little complicated, but that looks fine to me.
Yes, and then the buffer issue is that's tough on the plans with so many different hatch types and colorations, but the entirety of the buffer is outlined in black with the dot pattern that does show up beneath everything else. I chose black so that it would show up. So I'm hoping that maybe that was just something that was kind of missed. I'm not sure how else to change that color plan other than that to reflect all the stuff that's going on in there.
Okay, I mean, I feel like we're on the right track. I want to turn it back to Mary Ann. If there's some of these minor things that we just need to talk through, we've done that between meetings, that's fine.
Great.
And it may be that it's there and it's just a little complicated. So let's continue the meeting. I think overall, it's very responsive and we can take care of the minor items.
Right.
If the committee's comfortable with that.
I'm comfortable with it. I'm really happy to see this come back and, a very successful design. I think that, is working for the best for all of the issues considered. Does the rest of the committee feel that we can move forward and ask Chick to draw up a decision here, subject to the receipt, review, and acceptance of these minor issues that he has outstanding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mary Ann, before you just invite to the public hearing.
Yeah.
And to
Right.
comments.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the public who would like to address this application?
I don't see any hands.
Okay. So then I think we could make a motion to close the public hearing on this. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. May I have a motion to ask Chick to draw up a decision on this application, subject to the receipt, review, and acceptance of the supporting documents that he's going to communicate to the applicant? Motion?
I move.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
For the record, the next meeting is April
Thank
7th.
you very much.
Thank you, Kelly. Good luck at Nissaquag.
Thank you, and thank you all again for accommodating me. I really appreciate it. Have a good night.
Good night,
Okay.
Kelly.
So going back to our normal sequence here, we now have 23 Harding Terrace. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second, please. Second,
Second.
thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Is there somebody here who can speak to this application?
Yes, hi, I'm Lynn Breslin from Lynn Breslin Architects, 1050 Fifth Avenue, New York. And I'm speaking on behalf of my clients, Errol and Paula Taylor at 23 Harding Terrace. Doris, can you share the screen with Arcadius from my office, Lynn Breslin Architects?
Sure, let's see. Lynn
Okay.
Breslin.
Thank you.
Here we go.
All right. So this is a simple renovation. We're removing the north facade, the facade facing Shelter Island Sound, and replacing it with a modern facade with floor to ceiling windows. We're eliminating the faceted bay windows of the master bath and dining area. We're squaring off the bay windows in these areas. We are squaring off the bay windows in the kitchen and the living room as well on the eastern and western facade, but these are really not immediately visible from the harbor. We are also replacing the turret over the master bathroom with a simplified reverse gable and a small flat roof area. We propose to rebuild the deck without columns. We're going to cantilever that deck on the second floor. On the first floor, there's already an existing deck, and we're just replacing that. We will not need to stage construction on the bluff, the non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer zone. We have planned on erecting an erosion control silt fence with hay bales on already landscaped areas surrounding the pool and spa and on the side yards. No trees will be disturbed, and we're 113 feet back from the wetlands. And let's see, I can go through additional. Should we go through?
Normally, yeah, this is what we
Yeah,
like to
this is-
see. And I think
okay.
you're removing that slate patio, is that correct? Or have you changed?
No,
your-
we're removing the slate patio that is right off the house at
Right.
this point. And we are also removing a small piece of slate patio to the right as well. I think.
So
it's
has anything changed in the footprint from the existing?
No.
No.
Yes, let's see, if you look closely at where we have that faceted dining room, you'll see that we're squaring this area here, which was over the slate patio.
So I don't really understand. So the blue outline is existing?
Is the existing, and the red is the additional building mass on the first floor.
And how far is that to the wetlands? 113 feet?
113 feet.
Oh, well, we can't complain about that, can we?
Yeah. I don't think so, but.
Is there a when you say the wetlands line this is up, there's a bluff.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, we're quite high up.
Are there wetlands before you get to the bluff, or is it only on the other side of the bluff?
It's only on the other side.
Okay, so you're really measuring to the bluff, not to the wetlands.
That's right.
So Chick, remind us, what is the setback from a bluff?
Oh.
50 feet?
I have the code. right here. Just give me 1 second because I just want to make.
Oh,
sure I get it.
we are 61 feet and 2 inches.
Right, but there's something in the code about setbacks, not only from the wetlands, but from a bluff. So that I was just asking, we don't come across bluffs that often, so I was
Yeah.
gonna ask Chick or Fred to look at the code and see.
Yeah,
what
it's
it
50 feet.
It's 50 feet in 285-9E1.
Okay, all right. And what is, so What kind of sanitary system do you have here?
It's all existing. We're not modifying the sanitary system or anything that was built before. We're removing the windows and replacing the windows.
So what could we do to convince you to put in an innovative alternative septic system? It's pretty much a level thing after grants and, well, grants, various grants from the town and from the county and from the state. And it's a great step forward.
I agree. And it's certainly something that we can talk to, I can talk to my client about.
Would you? It would be very.
Yes, of course I will.
Okay.
At least the new windows will be more efficient and better for the
Yes.
environment.
They will be.
Okay.
And we're also looking at hurricane resistant windows.
Well, that's forward thinking.
And we're cantilevering the deck as well.
And how
The
far are
upper
you
deck.
back from the street? It looks like it's a good amount of distance, right? So you could have
Yes.
a sanitary system there.
Yeah.
While you're
Let's
digging everything up, why not throw in a new sanitary system?
Well,
Well,
they're
I
not
will
getting
certainly,
that much up.
yes, I'll certainly recommend this to my clients who I think are at the meeting at this point. So I think they're, you know, they're very conscious of the environment and probably very interested in doing something that would be advantageous.
All right, well, that would be good. And again, you know, at the end of the day, there's, you know, it can be sort of annoying to apply for all those grants, but it's probably something that you can hire somebody to do. And from what I hear, the people that I know that have put them in, I'm sort of starting that process myself. You get your money back and you're doing the right thing. So.
And the other thing, if the septic system is semi-dicey looking, they'll expedite it, move you to the front of the line for grants, et cetera.
Right.
Well, I know my clients are very committed to this community. They've been here for a very long time. You know, I believe they've owned this land since early 1990. So and they plan on staying there with their children for generations. So I think they would be very receptive to this.
You're very smooth. All right, so any other questions for this application?
No.
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 I suppose we could actually, I don't know, Fred, could we actually insist? I mean, it seems a little disproportionate, but could we
Yes.
insist on an IA system because
Yeah,
they're.
this is not one of those things where the code mandates the systems, an IA system. So we can't
Right.
require it, but as you've stated, the committee has been very good at persuading applicants to do the right thing, even when the code doesn't require them. And just to build upon what several members of the committee have said, there are town and county grants that are available to offset the cost of construction of these systems.
And if anybody has any question about the dangers that conventional systems have for our water, they need to come on April 7th, where Chris Gobler is going to make a presentation about the past summer's research analysis on the state of our waters. And it usually shows that nitrogen is a big problem. And that nitrogen comes from our fertilizer and from our our conventional septic systems. Okay, so we've been like belaboring this. Any other questions? Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak to this application?
I'm checking right now, Marianne, and no hands. Nope.
Okay.
I see a thumbs up from Mr. Taylor.
Oh.
Actually, that was meant to be a raised hand.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought it was
But
thumbs up for an
I
IA
did-
system.
I listening carefully, of course, to the discussion on the IA systems, and I'm obviously very interested in doing whatever I can to make sure we protect our environment. I live on the bay and am, incredibly involved with, keeping our water as pure as it possibly can. That being said, I hope this committee would approve our application without a requirement that we pursue a system that is frankly, especially since what we're asking for is in conformity with the existing code. We're not asking for this committee to ask to give us, the right to go outside of what the code allows.
Right.
And we've thought about that, in our renovations, that we not seek anything that would be asking for more. Frankly, what we're doing is improving our fidelity to the environment. So that's my only comment. And this is not an old house. And when we built it, we spared no expense on systems, including the septic system. The house was completed in 2006. So I just wanted to make those comments for the committee to consider, and hopefully you would act positively on our application.
Well,
at this
we have
meeting.
no reason to be negative. I would like to be able to say, yes, you have to put in an IA system, because no matter how wonderful the system you put in 2006 was at the time, it is far from the state of the art now. But all we can do is ask you nicely. And and if this is not dependent, I mean, we can go ahead and approve this. And if you, through your enlightenment, decide to put in an IA system, you don't have to come back in front of us.
Okay, well, understood. And
Okay.
the thought of not having to come back is really, really.
An incentive, right? All right, that's great. Okay, so can I have a motion, please, to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. May I have a motion to ask Chick to draw up a decision here approving this application? Come on,
Make a
somebody.
motion.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So we'll have, we'll have the next meeting again, April 7th for the record.
Thank you. So if I'm following the agenda correctly now, I think we are up to
Item number 2,
14 Cove Road.
correct.
Okay. Is there somebody here to speak for the this application?
Yeah, Billy Mack here, First Coastal. Hey, everybody.
Hi, Billy.
Hi. This is a dock application. And
Right.
I think you guys have looked at it before. Andrew, my office has worked with Chick to come up with some, address some of the concerns with respect to the construction of the dock. Specifically, we put in a revegetation plan that I think you guys may or may not have, that addresses revegetating any disturbed portions of the existing shoreline during the construction or after the construction of the dock. And I think they were all well addressed, and I think it's a pretty straightforward plan. Happy to share the plan or answer any questions about the dock.
Can you just put it up on the screen, because
Sure.
Yeah, I walked the property and I read the description and I did not look at the drawings. I'm sorry. So you might be able to just show us what you're doing. There's a lot of moving pieces here.
Yeah,
You're ready, Billy. You can go ahead and share.
thank you. Can you guys see that?
You're welcome.
Yes.
So this is the only thing that's visible on this is the deck, which the house is back to the left-hand side of the sheet. And this is an existing deck that's on the bluff. That's in pretty good shape. We're looking to add this section here in red, which is the dock, and a set of stairs that go down to the beach. The part that's existing, there is a section of stairs that come off this deck, and they just need to be patched up a little bit. But other than that, it's most all of the work is on the shoreline. And we address the revegetation after the construction of the dock. You can see there in the highlighted sections.
And the materials being used here?
All non-treated materials, completely compliant. It's got also a light penetrating decking.
Okay. And what did the trustees say? Have you been to the trustees?
We have a trustee approval and we have a New York State Department of Environmental Conservation approval as well. And they're all consistent with this plan, also showing no treated material and light penetrating decking.
Right. And how far out does this dock extend compared to your neighbors?
Don't think I have this doesn't show where the other dock is, but it is, I believe that the property to the north, their dock extends out a little farther.
Okay.
And fortunately, this strange cove is deep enough, so we didn't have to extend out further than many of the docks in the area.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only 46 feet from the high water. And I believe the cove is required to be at least 50 and sometimes 75 in some places. So we're more compliant than most docks.
Does anybody have a question here for Billy? Chick, do you have any comments?
No, we reviewed this very carefully before it came to the committee so that it could be prepared if you were comfortable with it. But everything that was talked about, untreated material, open grade decking, proper water depths, not excessively long, all checked out. So I have no questions.
Okay. Is there anybody in the public who would like to address this issue, this dock?
I'm looking right now, Marianne.
While you're looking, I had a question. I was on mute. Are the mooring piles, those two that are there, is that typical in the bay there, in the cove?
It is for protection of the boat, so during storms, so it doesn't get banged against the dock. And that's pretty standard. Most floating docks, indoor dock systems have a mooring. Piles that are off 12, 14 feet off the dock to keep the boat from, so they can tie up during storms and
banging around.
nestle it
Right.
so there's no damage to the boat or dock.
Okay.
Marianne, I don't see any hands, no hands.
Okay. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. May I have a motion to ask Chick to draw up an affirmative decision on this application?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you,
very
Billy.
much, board members. Really appreciate
care,
your
Billy.
time. Everybody enjoy. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Marianne,
Yes.
I don't know if I missed the, I don't have a motion or a second to open the public hearing for 14 Cove.
Oh,
I think it went just directly to the conversation. So,
well, we just closed it.
I'll
I
come
don't know.
back
What do
if
you want
needed.
to? Huh?
I'm back if needed.
I just want it for the record.
Right.
Yeah, why don't we just have somebody make that motion, and I don't think we have to redo it. We'll just so we have it for the record.
Thank you, Fred.
Make a motion.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all again.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Billy.
And last but not least, we have 28 Long Point Road. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
thank you. All in favor? Aye. Was there any more ayes other than me?
Aye.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, is there anybody here to speak to this application?
Yes, Michael Shiano from Science Research Associates.
Aye.
How's everyone doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Nice to
Hi,
see you,
Mike.
Mike.
You too.
Would you like to lead us through this application, what you'd like to do?
You ready to share, Mike?
Okay. So the Harbor Committee has seen this property before when we got approval for to demolish an existing house and pool and essentially completely redevelop this property at 28 Long Point Road. And as part of that new house, which resulted in significant buffers around the site, we had noted that we would be coming back to the board later to propose a new dock. We had wanted to separate the two applications, knowing that dock applications can take longer, and we didn't want kind of the tail wagging the dog on, and we want to make sure that construction of the house would start. So now we're back to talk about the dock changes. Initially, we were proposing to realign the dock so that it would be straight and perpendicular with the house, and the architects were very happy about that. But in discussing things with the Southampton Town trustees, they told me that within Morris Cove, a dock cannot extend more than 60 feet from mean low water. So through discussion with them, they eventually allowed us to propose to build within the existing footprint of the existing dock. And so after some reconfiguration, we had come back to the Harbor Committee with these revised plans. And as a result, the dock is actually 6 feet shorter than it was before, than it is right now, rather. The proposed dock is going to be constructed out of all untreated wood with light penetrating decking. It's going to be within the same footprint as the existing dock. And one note that Nelson Pope Voorhees indicated they wanted me to address how the float would be would stay off of the bottom. So because we could not go out farther because of the limit on the length of the docks within Morris Cove, we had to worry about water depths. So as part of the project, and this was something that the DEC actually had also required that we show, that we're proposing chocks on the posts of the dock. So, and this is noted on the plans that the chocks will be installed at a height of 1.9 feet above mean low water to maintain a depth of 2.5 feet when at low tide. This is fairly standard for low depth water. The trustees have not issued a permit yet, but these are all based on comments that we received from them, and the approval is pending. We just need to go through. I've been working with Trustee Welker on the details of this, and now we're just going to through the motions to have it approved at this point. So we have. We're going through that process. We have Department of State approval. We have DEC approval. The
pepperoni.
Somebody's ordering a pizza.
I'll take one too.
Me too.
The Army Corps, they're working through the application. My last correspondence with them was that they may consider this to be under their nationwide general permit 3, which is maintenance. So they may be able to issue it without actually issuing a permit, and maybe just a letter of permission, but I'm still waiting to hear back on what the determination on that was. So I am here to answer any questions that the board may have.
I don't have any questions. Seems like the right thing to do. Chick, I assume you've had all your questions answered. Anybody on the committee have questions?
No.
Mike, could I just confirm the date of the plan? Is that the 12/14/2021 plan?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Okay, good.
All right.
I had no questions.
Is there anybody in the audience and the public that would like to comment on this application?
I'm looking for public comments and no hands, Marianne.
Okay. Great. Full speed ahead. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second, please.
I second.
Thank you, Will. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And may I have a motion to ask Chick to draw up a decision favorable to this application?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you.
So everyone has a good dinner.
Take care, Mike.
All right,
you.
so we'll have a decision for April 7th is the next meeting.
I'm gonna be busy.
Yes. All right.
Anybody have any issues that they would like to discuss before we adjourn?
Yeah, what are we getting on our pizza? That's
Yeah. I heard somebody voted for pepperoni.
Pepperoni.
I don't mind. I'll pick it off. That's okay.
I've just about finished cooking dinner, so I have to stop and
Right.
and
Okay.
eat it.
I think Leo will take the pepperoni.
Yeah, Leo will take the pepperoni. All right. Good meeting. I thought we were going to be here a lot longer. It's 7:30 and we get to go have dinner.
Yes.
So, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Doris.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Doris.
All right.
Thank you, board. Thank you.
All right.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
So wait, do I
We
need?
need- we need a motion.
Gotta close.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Okay, second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Thank
All
you.
right. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
Night, Hillary.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Let's
Thanks,
end.
Doris.
Have a good night.
You too. Thanks, Fred.
Thank you.